What's up, everybody? I'm Dave Miranda, and this is episode 116 of Just Give Me 5. I hope you guys are doing great, continue to be amazing. We got an awesome show lined up for you today. But first things first, I need you to hit that like button, I need you to hit that subscribe, and I need you to spread the word about Just Give Me 5, all right? Now, if you guys caught episode 115, you saw we had none other than the one and only Don Salter, and let me tell you, man, Don is just an absolute legend. You know, everything that he's contributed to the Arizona community. I mean, Salt Mine is just phenomenal, man. I mean, it's something, it's literally, and I love how he was telling the story about, you know, how he came up with the name and, you know, the DMX story, you know, I mean, just, you know, because, you know, when X was living out here, Swiss Beats as well, you know, and then you had Cassidy, so you had the whole like Rough Rider situation going on out here, man. It's like, you know, X was a big part of the Arizona community as well. I mean, granted, I know, of course, you know, he's from Yonkers, being from New York, but he played a really, really big role. You know, he was a staple for a while in the scene out here because he was residing out here for so long. And so with being so, he was able to, you know, record a bunch of albums over at Salt Mine. So Don's got so much history there, man, and just a really, really, really good guy, you know. We're just so happy to have him on the show. Make sure you guys watch episode 115. All right. But today's guest is one of the OGs in the poetry scene in Arizona and is a huge staple in the community. We're going to talk about what made her get into poetry, as well as her dancing background. We're also going to talk about the creation of the VYBe, her health and nutrition journey, and so much more. So ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I present to you Wisdom Soul.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your girl Wisdom Soul, and the vibe is live, and all I'm saying is just give me 5. Well, you know, when I was 9 years old, I just became enthralled. It's almost like, you know, spirit moved me. I was into this little argument with a classmate as to whose tribe, Native American tribe, was number one. Okay. And then I came to the conclusion that none of us are number one. We're all number one. And that's just where the poem inspired from. Fell in love with that. My first play, because acting was a poetry inspired play, and I just fell in love with it from there and just let spirit move me, through me, to me, and to share with others.
And you were growing up in New York, right?
Well, actually, we left New York when I was 6 years old. Okay. We moved to an Indian reservation in Montana where I got my spiritual grounding, and that's pretty much where my history began.
Tell us a little bit more about the whole acting situation.
Okay, so you know, I basically grew up in an entertainment family. Right. Mom is a dancer, singer. Dad was a musician, played every instrument, so I was surrounded by the arts.
So your father was Prince.
Actually, my next ex, no, before he left. But no, I mean, you know, I just was around it all the time, and theater, classical music, and so I just always was acting. I was always by myself. I talked to myself all the time. I was in the mirror all the time, in the camera all the time, and just really loved the stage, loved the microphone, loved acting and dressing up, and that's how it became.
Wow, man. And so, you know, so when you were doing all this, so you were in a jazz choir as well, correct? When you were a kid?
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that I don't say I sing because I don't sing. I love to sing. I really do. But yes, I was in jazz choir, honor choir. I performed in all kinds of musicals all through high school until I got older. Then at some point, I just lost my confidence in my voice because my mother's a phenomenal singer. Okay. So I guess I just kind of felt in the shadow a little bit and just kind of cowered back, and I just would write, you know, right. and then started to voice it.
Do you remember what your first piece was that you wrote?
Yes, I do.
This is going way back.
No, I do though. Thank you. But it was when I was 9 years old. It was "We Are Number One" was the first piece.
Okay, so that was
the first piece. Yes, at 9 years old. Okay. Can I recite that? No. I don't remember that. But as far as sharing with the world, my very first piece was called "Who Am I?" Okay. And that's basically talking about my my multicultural background. being Native American, being African American, and I was reflecting on that. So that was my first piece I shared when poetry basically bubbled to the surface in 1997, House of Grooves in Phoenix, Arizona. Okay, so the vibe was created, it was just a feeling. I was actually at a very popular location here downtown Phoenix, and I'm all about a vibe. I'm all about the energy that was there. So I would always say, the vibe is live. How do y'all feel? How is the vibe? And vibe is live, or the vibe is dope. And so when that situation ended and I started to move into my own thing, I was looking for a name, and actually Leah Marche of Black Poet Ventures named the vibe, which means voice your beautiful expression. Before the vibe was created, it was actually called the studio. And there was a promoter that had actually arranged the studio. They had an open mic band. I was, moving around in the poetry scene, and I said, hey, I think I have something that works. And voila, we introduced Poets Meet Band, and then it became the studio, and it just grew from there. So when I left there was, all right, the vibe in my own space.
Okay, okay. And now prior to that, correct me if I'm wrong, but you had a dance background.
Yeah, you did your homework. So yes, I did before Wisdom Soul was born. Again, being in the arts and acting, I started managing rappers.
Okay.
And I managed dancers, and basically by then I had already had 2 children. So I danced with my dancers to get in shape, and the calls started coming in from myself and one of my dancers. So we did a couple music videos, did some backup music back around the time where the Fly Girls were fly. Then we were pretty fly at that time too. So that's kind of where that career was there. And then from there I had some opportunities and got to travel a little bit. And you may know somebody that I know that I went on tour with.
I do.
So definitely Shining Star is, and I think that's the name that they still go by. Okay, excellent. So Shining Star was holding auditions. At that time, my co-partner, dancing partner, got a scholarship for school, for college, and so I left her, and I lost her, and it was just me. So I did the audition. I saw this group. It was actually on New Times Backpage, hiring for dancers to go to Singapore, and I made the audition. And shout out to Shining Star, and I believe that the bass, Mario Mendeville, the bass player, your uncle, and that's wild. Yeah, so I went with them, and we had a great time, and it was a wonderful experience.
Awesome, man. And like, now when you were working with the rappers that you were saying earlier, do you remember what group that was that you were working with?
As a matter of fact, I don't remember the rappers, and it wasn't my favorite song. Rappers, but because back then it was like rappers were really still doing the real street life. And so it was like babysitting, and it's like, run to this person, make sure that they stay out of trouble. That was too much. But then I was introduced to a young teenage group coming out of Tempe High, a trio called, they were called something else, and they were introduced to me because the producer said, hey, I have this group, I think you will do good with them. And we renamed their group. They renamed their group True Image, and 3 singers, and one of the singers to this day is still doing really big things. And yeah, he is. He's moving and grooving, so shout out to you, Rob.
Wow, that's awesome. Now, speaking of the word groove, how was House of Grooves back in the day?
Man, House of Grooves was it. It was the just the place for everyone to come together. So when I heard about House of Grooves, people knew that I was writing poetry. I had a friend, and they'd listened to some of my poems, and they said, hey, there's sisters over here starting a poetry night. And it intrigued me because I thought, like, I was the only one. And I said, oh, I'd like to go. So I went to the House of Grooves. The first, I believe, Black-owned, African-American-owned nightclub in Phoenix, and a sister had started a poetry night, and I shared, and it just kind of went up from there.
Wow, man.
Yeah, but it was great. It was a place of comfort.
Yeah.
It was a place we all went to just release and share, and it was a camaraderie. I felt that it was a family. All the poets were in unity, and we were just there excited to see each other, supported each other, and it found that there were people just like us with the same set of feelings, the same type of things going on, and that we were all expressing it in our corners. And then we came to this corner as one, and it was just a lot of love there.
And then, because I met you at Marley's.
Yes,
I
yes.
want to say what, 2005,
I believe Marley's might have been around 2003, 4 in there, because the VYBe started in 2005.
Okay.
So Marley's the studio, yes. So then shout out to AJ at Marley's really treated us very well. The band and myself, it was standing room only. That was kind of maybe a couple years after my name started to surface a little bit, and then I became the host there. We've had some amazing people come through there. Rebecca Bond, who was an Arizona Idol for American Idol. David, I can never remember, David Hernandez, who was also an Arizona American Idol. Just a lot of people. Shout out to Von Willis making big moves. He started out on our mics there too. So a lot. We've had every band member that you could probably think of has come through and blessed me with backing me at Marley's, and it was great. We had some big names come through, that loved it. Every time Curtis Blow was in town, that was his spot. That's where he came.
You had formed a bond with Curtis Blow too, and then he, what did he have you do? He had you.
Well, basically, it wasn't him. It was the people who brought him in, friends of his, and that's how I met Curtis. That he came in, he loved the vibe, he would always stay. And so one of the promoters that frequented as well and knew me kind of pulled me on and took me under his wing. Godson Entertainment took me under his wing and started asking me to open up or host events for. So I got to open up for Curtis Blow twice. Probably my biggest. Well, that's a big name right there, but one of the other really big names that I really got to host and open the show and also select the artists that were going to be on the show was KRS-One. So those were the two names that I actually got to help bubble Wisdom Soul.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we're just speaking about poetry now, but people gotta remember that, you were also the one to put on that first all-female showcase for a lot of female MCs in the scene as well. And that was, I believe, at Spinelli's?
Yeah, I believe it's called Spinelli's now in Tempe. It was called something else. I want to say For One Woman, but I'm not sure. I don't remember, so don't quote me on that. But the Arizona's first all-female hip-hop showcase, which consisted of 10 female MCs, artists, because we had somebody painting art, we had rap, we had vocalists, and it was a phenomenal show. Unfortunately, there was no media there for documentation, but it wasn't just myself. I did team up with a young gentleman who was setting up shows. Jay Waddy was his name, but yeah, Jay Waddy. And then but I got all the females together. It was a phenomenal show. We rode in on motorbikes. At that time, I was with a bike crew, and they brought us in, handed me the microphone in my hand as we pulled up and rocked the house. 700 people, I believe, showed up to that.
Absolutely. I believe that's where people out here in the scene got first wind of Empress.
Yes, indeed. Empress made her debut there. I was introduced to her, and then basically she was on that show. And I think at that point was, people are trying, may try to wonder, well, how did Wisdom, Soul, and Poetry get with hip hop? And that's where we intermingled, which poetry is hip hop. Poetry is rap, rhythm, and poetry. So that's where that kind of crossed over into the hip hop scene and hosting those type of shows. Well, growing up, I'm a conversationist. I love to talk, and just a lot of people just used to always talk to me. It didn't matter whether I knew them or not. People would just start spilling, and I think that's a spiritual thing. I think that's just a light that that might be attracted, and people would just start sharing their story with me. So in storytelling or poetry and sharing my feelings and emotions, hosting a venue, people were telling me like it was their church, like they loved the vibe of like, this is my church, and just started sharing their innermost, space with me. And so there is a poet, author, writer that I absolutely love, Iyanla Van Zant. I saw she was a life coach, and I'm watching her, and I said, that's it. That's what I want to do. That's what I want to help people. And so I took a tour of a school here, the Southwest Institute of Healing Arts, did the whole life coaching view, loved it, it fit, and stepped into that. And then from there, that just kind of triggered into when you go for life coaching at a healing arts school, there's many other avenues. I'm a hypnotherapy specialist. I thought that would help me understand the mind a little bit more into the emotions of our life and moving forward. That's what a life coach does, take you moving forward, And then I always wanted to do yoga or learn yoga. My daughter said, Mom, let's take yoga. And I said, okay, I don't know yoga, but I'm a good teacher. So I'm going to go ahead and learn it with you. We're going to learn yoga, but I'm going to learn to teach it as well. And it just flowed with my energy. It flowed with my spirituality, just the way that my thought process. So that's how I went into life coaching and yoga. From that point on, I left the stage. I felt hurt by the stage. My feelings were hurt in some avenues.
Talk about that.
Well, I'm a poet. We're sensitive. I'm like Erica. This is my art, and I'm sensitive about my.
A lot of energy. Yeah.
We do. And when you provide a lot of energy, there's some energy vampires out there. People can. I don't want to say people can steal your energy. You can allow to let your energy go. Because it's not about anybody taking it, as you evolve and you learn, like nobody's doing nothing to you, you're allowing that. Exactly. And so I was allowing things to hurt my feelings that probably shouldn't have even really hurt my feelings. And I was blaming everybody else for everything. Yeah. And then you really had to, you have to take a step back. I took a step back and said, I just don't want to do this anymore. I lost my confidence. I was depressed. And I just left the stage. I left the stage for 4.5 years. I needed to lose some weight. Everybody's always wanting to lose weight, but I knew that would help my health. Yeah. I had high blood pressure, I had high cholesterol, and then the depression, and I needed to do something. So I reached out to a friend of mine. I started a nutrition program, which was another whole community of basically life coaching a life coach. We were life coaching each other, helping each other get over these hurdles in our lives, these challenges in our mind, and what we call Fit Fam. So my Fit Fam, and we started fit camps, like boot camp style workouts and nutrition, eating clean, eating healthy. And I always say, eat clean, think clear. And that's where I started remembering who I was again. So I lost 50 pounds, 27% body fat. I was in, thank you. I was in the best shape of my life at 50 years old, COVID is back, but, but it's all good. It was good. My mindset has changed. Yes. I tell people all the time, losing weight isn't always about the fat on your body. It's about letting stuff go. I had to let a lot go. And so with the transformation I made, I started helping other people. And it turned into a business of nutrition and fitness coaching and helping many people lose lots of weight from anywhere from 20 to 50 to 100 pounds. And so that success just started going from there. Once I started feeling good again and the business was doing well in that aspect, I had my confidence again, I was ready to return to the stage.
How was that?
It was beautiful. I got to shout. It was. I had a new breath. I had a new energy. I want to shout out to HB of Home Based Poetry. He let me have my debut return, which couldn't have been anybody better because that was always like a little brother back in the House of Grooves days. So it was just 360 coming back around again, and the love was given and received, and it was beautiful. So
That's awesome, man. And I know it's got to be extremely rewarding, because you've always been a person to just, like you said, just to help others. You're always, your name, wisdom, you know what I mean? It's like you're always constantly providing some kind of knowledge, some kind of like inner peace towards someone since I've known you. And you've never switched up, and that's why I've always respected you for that. And the thing is that I know with that, it has to be so rewarding with helping people amongst their health journey. That's got to be that's the award in itself.
It's beautiful. It's an intimate and emotional journey, because when you see people accomplish those type of goals and they're energy exudes. It just makes you, it can be a very emotional thing because you're happy. And then I just want to also share with you, the name wisdom came to me spiritually, and I kept trying to run from it. It was when I was debuting in poetry, and everybody had these cool names, like rappers have these cool names. And I kept running, and I was going through a really hard time in my life. And I was reading a lot of scripture at that time. And when Spirit, God, Allah, Elohim, whoever you call the Almighty Creator, is speaking to you, when the Spirit is speaking to you. And so I just happened to open the book of the Word, the Bible, and that's what jumped out at me and pulled at me in such a way that I was like, no. And in the Bible, God speaks, or the Word speaks, of wisdom being female, and the things that it was saying, happy is the man that finds wisdom and gains understanding. But I felt it like, this is you. And I was like, nah. So I've tried to run from wisdom several times, but as I say, the words that I speak are not mine. I believe that that's just God speaking to me, through me, and giving me the ability to share with others, giving me the ability to uplift others. Like Moses, God gave me a pen and a tablet, and that's where everything triggered into life coaching and the poetry that I receive. It's a gift. It's not mine. It's mine to share. And so that's how wisdom came about. I added soul to it, so it didn't sound like I'm full of myself. Which I am full of myself now, because we are created in the image of God. So I'm full of God, and I'm blessed. And I finally realized that you can't run from wisdom. You have to apply it to your life. Well, I took a little bit of just bouncing back again, bouncing around, trying my hands in different pots, basically all that's a part of me. I've been in sports and entertainment most of my life. I just teamed up with a friend of mine. We've been friends 30 years, shout out to Bridget Pettis. I just became her personal assistant. We are given legend for real. She's done a lot, left a life of legacy to start another life of legacy, feeding the community. She's grown a farm, so I'm helping her with the farm, but she's also, or anything she needs, basically Project Roots LLC, but mainly she's giving back to the children. And that's another forte of mine I used to do when I was really in it, when I was really being an activist, poet activist. I was helping with the children, feeding the homeless. And so she's feeding the community. She's providing basketball camps for underserved children. So I get to help her with that. Or like I said, anything that she needs that is given back to the community, I'm honored to be a part of. And that's what's next for me right now. Still doing the stage. I am working on a book. The book is done. I just need to format it and have it, put into place. So there's the first book. The second book has already started. Oh, wow. So that's where I'm at right now. There is another event, as Geminis do a lot at once, several irons in the fire to create the bonfire. I have a business that I intend on opening. We'll go into that at another time, but really moving in that direction. Beautiful. And I say that, so humbly speaking, and in awareness. And it took me a long time to get to this point to say I believe that. And I see it every day in the people that I surround myself with now, that, they do, I appreciate my supporters. I appreciate, all the fans, all the love that I get, the emails that I get constantly, strangers saying they see me, they walk up, and it feels amazing. It feels like my God light is shining. Okay, well, hey, my name is Wisdom Soul. The party's at where I'm at. Like I say, the vibe is always live, and that's my 5.
And there you have it. Man, shout out to Wisdom Soul. I've known Wisdom since, I want to say like the 03, 04 era, and I met her at the VYBe, when she used to do everything at Marley's. I believe it was the 3rd Wednesday of every month. And, I got to tell you, I met so many people in the community, not just in the hip hop community, but really just, the poetry scene, and, just a lot of people that I'm still cool with to this day. And it was a great, literally it was a vibe. I mean, it was like, and it was all like neo soul. So you go in there and hear Music Soul Child, Angie Stone, Jill Scott, Just really, really good times, man. And a lot of that all started at her event, that she used to throw. So she is just a true gem to this community. And, we were just extremely honored to have her on the show today. So, I wish you the best, my friend, and absolutely nothing less. Make sure you guys are following her on social media. And shout out to my brother, Jimmy Nelson, on that camera. Make sure you guys subscribe to that YouTube channel. Tell a friend to tell a friend. All right. Well, this was definitely one for the books. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, though. And until next time, stay tuned, stay blessed, stay healthy, and just give me 5, y'all.
Everything you get, you got to work hard.